Welcome to Audible Interlude, a G.I. Joe podcast. I'm your host, Dave West, codename Phantom Troublemaker.
I am your co-host, Noel Wood, codename Crapshoot.
And I'm your evil Cobra intern, what interns at midnight. Codename Legion Cub.
Little tick reference there. I appreciate it. You can follow us on Instagram at Audible Interlude Podcast and on X at G.I. Joe Audible. However, wherever you are listening to this podcast, because there will be an audio version available this Friday, wherever you get your podcasts, be sure you're following us. Leave us a 5-star review. I'm almost giving up on this concept. And I understand there's too much. It's just too much in the world. The technology, it's overwhelming. I get it. So just do your best. Do what you can. The big deal, what we want the most from you are these two things. One, show up here Monday nights for Audible Interlude live when we do it. And two, show up at Joe Fest in just a couple of weeks here. Less than 2 weeks.
It's insane.
It is completely insane. And if we see you at Joe Fest in your Audible Interlude gear, which you can find the pinned stories at Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, we will give you a free itty bitty ditty bag. So look forward to that. We got some folks hanging out in the chat already. First one in was Swordsman 007. Wreckship 85 is here. Will R is here. What does everybody want? Itty bitty ditty bags.
I was going to say more cowbell, which is what New York 1974 said.
Oh,
or
that's
the
a good
Simpsons
answer.
say, more asbestos, more asbestos.
New York Night 1974. Mandalorian Jedi. We've got a full house hanging out. Agent Chuckles is here. And of course, Mandalorian Jedi with the best advice of all. Smash that like button if you like Audible Interlude or Needless Things or anything that you're seeing here tonight. And I want to bring a little attention back to the Super Chat. We had an awesome time with Toy Domination last Thursday. You can find that episode in perpetuity on their YouTube channel. Toy Domination was awesome. We had a blast talking with him, talking with Ed from Joe Fest. And really, if this is going to be hard to believe, but Noel, Kristian, I think you guys can back me up. The conversation was even more random there than it is here.
Yeah, Toy Domination was not prepared for our level of, wait, you want to go on a tangent?
Yeah,
we're right there with you.
He did not know what he was getting into, but had some great people hanging out over there. Got a couple of super chats, and I would like to remind everybody that any super chats that we get are still going into the development costs for the Audible Interlude tactical shovels.
R&D for that tactical shovel is not cheap, so
No, it's not. We've got to tool up a whole batch of new parts. And let me just I'm going to tell you right now, once we get the first tactical shovel out, you're going to see a lot of repaints because that tooling is not going to go to waste. There's going to be a Tiger Force Well, no, we can't do anything copyright infringing. So we'll have
it doesn't have to be called Tiger Force.
We'll have the Zebra Force. We'll have the Dusk Patrol. We'll have the Aerial Watch. All the variants you could possibly imagine.
Wait, so for Aerial Watch, will we back metal it? Because
good point. That'll be even more research and development. So that's going to be a lot. No, Mandalorian Jedi, no Tiger King editions. What a shameful time in American history that was. And let me tell you, I participated. I was all in on Tiger King the first time around, and then I tried to watch. They did the revisiting, and I just felt really ashamed of myself and turned it off.
And you even bought the Tiger King reaction style figures, didn't you?
I did, but that's only because they were $1.99 at
they were super cheap.
I don't think I
FYE.
knew that they made those. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Was at FYE as well.
There, look,
I thought about
figures.
like doing custom Dreadnought something or another with him.
Now those would be the Rednocks, the redneck dreadnocks that we've speculated about.
Enforcer Immortal will need fodder when he's finally released. So
True. That's true. Although he may run into the wrath of Tiger King Immortal. So I don't know how that's gonna go. All right, we got some business to get out of the way before we go any further. Check out audiblearmy.com, especially here during Yojo June. We got a lot going on. For $1.99 a month, there is only one tier. You'll get my show notes before each episode is released, which often include like cut segments and things we ended up not talking about. So little extras in there. You get early and ad-free access to all audio episodes. The audio version of this episode will be available tomorrow on audiblearmy.com. You get exclusive video access to recordings of audio episodes. We're still working out some kinks on a little addition to that tier, or that bonus, so stay tuned. Early access to all G.I. Joe and G.I. Joe adjacent reviews on the Needless Things YouTube channel. Opportunity to vote for content on the show, and also early input for things like Sound Off and the Lieutenant Colonel Mongoose Q&A that's coming up in just a couple of weeks here. So check out audiblearmy.com, $1.99 a month. Every cent of that, anything we get in the super chat, all goes back into the show, paying for StreamYard, merch, whatever else. We will have the second run of Audible Interlude hats at Joe Fest, so hit us up there. We'll have them in person, ready to go. These are a selection of the shirts we have available. Again, check out those pinned stories on Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. Get yourself a shirt, available in many different styles, sizes, colors. And apparently TeePublic is doing hats now. I'm going to look into it because their stuff is pretty good. So I'm curious to see what we can fit on a hat. I'm going to check it out. Yes, RecShip85. RecShip85, you did your part. Your shirt is on the way, and we will see you at Joe Fest. I have already put aside an itty bitty ditty bag for you, so look forward to seeing you there. What is next? What else have we got going? Oh yeah, so this is a pleasant surprise, hopefully for everyone. Our next Audible Interlude live stream is June 17th, next Monday. That's right. We're doing 2 weeks in a row because we are going to have to do a Joe Fest pre-show live right here. Whether you're going to Joe Fest or not, join us next Monday. Same Audible time, same Audible channel. We are going to talk about everything that's going on at Joe Fest. We're going to have a lot of fun. So even if you're not going to Joe Fest, you can check out what's going to be happening, what we're going to be doing. It's going to be the same goofy fun we always have. So put it on your calendar next Monday live.
Now, does that mean we're going to go do a Joe Fest post show on the 24th, or are we just going to stagger a week?
No, the 24th we will not be recording because we will be posting the live episode from Joe Fest as that week's episode. So our live panel from Joe Fest will go up. There's no reason we can't do a video version, but that'll only be available at audiblearmy.com. But the audio of our Joe Fest panel will be available on Friday, the 28th, I think it is. Something like that. Whatever that Friday is after Joe Fest. And we have several big Audible Interlude announcements that we're going to make next Monday as well about events that we're doing at Joe Fest. All right, moving along. There it is, live at Joe Fest, Saturday morning kickoff show. We now know it is 10 a.m. Saturday morning in the second level panel room. Lots of fun, lots of prizes, lots of jibber jabber.
Probably some hangovers.
I actually have been looking for the G.I. Joe cereal. I have found boxes, but I have not found any unopened boxes yet.
That's right. We were supposed to get, what were we getting Action Stars for? What the heck?
Because I'm going to bring cereal to the panel, because for me, 10 a.m. is very early.
Very early, which means it's funny. We had a little conversation going on audiblearmy.com asking about you guys being there for the walk on Saturday morning. and somebody mentioned your 500 miles reference, and I said, well, it's been made clear that Kristian won't even walk 3 miles. So that was a good callback. I can't remember who said it. If you're here in the chat, remind me.
So I thought the reason we're getting access to our cereal is because if you buy enough of it, you can mail in and get that Starduster figure, and we need to make sure we get those 3 3/4 inch O-ring Starduster figures.
Yeah, good
They
point.
still have
Oh my-
supply, right?
You know what? It's worth it to see if it had an expiration date, because we can totally go Pepsi Plain Kid. Because you notice, I mean, I know we'll get to it, but spoiler alert, a certain flag point actually is not redeemable.
Right. Yeah, I liked that little mention too. Swordsman 007 has left his review. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Rexship 85, speaking of Joe Fest, yeah, this was just announced. Joe Fest announced that Morgan Lofting will not be able to attend this year, but they have confirmed her for next year. So whatever's going on, we wish the best for her. Kevin Riddle getting ready for Joe Fest now. Well, we're going to be getting even more ready a week from now. Although we do have we got a couple of Joe Fest topics that are going to come up in sound offs later on. This week, this is very exciting for me. This is going to go into our first bit of news. So in just a second here, we're going to be talking about the G.I. Joe compendium, which is freaking insane. But I want to mention right now, I will be interviewing Alex Antone, who has been on the show before. The last time I interviewed him, I had the death flu. And if you listen to that episode, I will toot my own horn. Toot, toot. I humaned up and nailed it. I cannot go. I went back and listened, which I don't often do. And you can't tell that I was sick. It's great. But Alex Antone, who is the editor-in-chief for the Real American Hero Larry Hama comic, is also the one in charge of the compendium. And I will be interviewing him and giving him your questions. We will be putting up a post Thursday morning, Audible Interlude podcast, although audiblearmy.com will get first crack. But Audible Interlude podcast on Instagram, I'll be putting up a special sound off post where you can ask the man behind this compendium any questions that you want. I'll be interviewing him, and that interview will go up as a special bonus episode. audiblearmy.com will get it first, but it will be available everywhere you get your podcast. I'll probably put it up on the channel too, because we'll be recording video, so why not? Unless I'm deathly ill, wrapped up in my hoodie again. I will say this, the video version of that, I never released because I look so pathetic in it. I've got like my hood, it's my old ratty, like I'm sick in the house hoodie, and it's like up around my head, and I'm a sorry sight. I'll just say that. All right. Let's get to the update on the compendium. If I can get to why is it so hard to get to a Kickstarter page? View this update on Kickstarter. Thank you. That's what I want to do. So everybody is probably pretty familiar with the different tiers of the compendium now. As we speak, okay, so I had a really nice conversation with Shannon Meehan, who is Skybound's kind of marketing person. She's their Emily, it seems like to me. And she said, fingers crossed, maybe we'll hit 2 million by the time you talk to Alex. And I said, there's no doubt in my mind you're going to hit 2 million. And it looks like I'm right, because right now, with 5,530 backers, the G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero compendium is at $1,973,135.
There is chatter, and I don't have the notes in front of me, but there is chatter that by the time this closes, this could be the most successful comic book Kickstarter in the history of Kickstarter.
It's crazy.
So I'm not going to go through everything that's been unlocked. It's nuts. I will say it's very clear that they were managing the stretch goals, because There were some things that were very clearly not like $1,200,000 stretch goals, but I guess that's a thing you have to do. I'm actually going to ask Alex about that when I talk to him in as genuine a way as I possibly can. What do you do when you're running a Kickstarter and it blows your expectations out of the water 6 minutes in? Like, there does have to be something in place to say, oh, this was a $10,000 stretch goal, but we hit that in 30 seconds. Clearly, we need to make some changes. Like, I'm very interested to talk to him about like how quickly they had to act, how fast they had to figure things out. And then now some of the goals that they're adding are wild. They're doing a full comic style reprint of G.I. Joe Yearbook #1, which is going to be for physical backers. They've got a really nice, so the signed Larry Hama book plates sold out, I believe, day one. That's what I backed it. I backed the Cobra edition with the Larry Hama book plate. And now, because people want that tier, they're doing a new book plate with art by favorite of the show, Chris Mooneyham. Is a fantastic black and white drawing of Snake Eyes, and it is signed by Larry Hama. It's another book plate. This is a new tier, and if you backed the other book plate, you will be receiving a 6x8 archival quality print of this book plate. It's just a print. It's not the actual book plate, but you're still getting the physical art. Or you can change, if you prefer this one, you can change over to it. No fuss, no muss. It looks like they're really trying to do their best to take care of everybody, to make this the very best release of the G.I. Joe comic that has ever happened. And that's what I realized on day one was like, I can't not back this because I have to have, even though I've got most of this already. I don't have all of it. I don't have the last 50 or so issues. But I just want to have this the best it can be for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So yeah, anyway, that's what's up with that. Go check out the Kickstarter if you haven't already. It is very impressive. And it's sitting here on that first day, watching those dollars just move for 10 hours. Because I was at work, I opened it up. I think it went live at 9 or 10 in the morning or whatever it was. I opened it up and just kind of left it off to the side while I was working all day. And I just kept glancing over at it. And those numbers, I've never seen anything like it. It was crazy. So G.I. Joe fans are incredible. Funded this thing with its original goal of $50,000. Hit that in 6 minutes. 6 minutes. And now we're almost at 2 million. By the time I talk to Alex Antone, it will be at 2 million for sure. So if look, it just went up again. It's now 1,973,485. Somebody just bought one. Oh, and those new book plates go up tomorrow. That tier will be added tomorrow. So you'll be able to purchase at that level. Or if you backed at the other one and just want to switch, you can do that as well. And it's very easy to do. All you have to do is manage your pledge, and you can just switch it out. It's because nobody's been charged for anything yet, so it's easy to switch this stuff. All right. Whew. That was a lot. And we didn't even talk about
the beginning.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, I know we didn't even really talk about the compendium that much, but it's just because I think the information is so widely out there. And if you do have questions about this thing, there are a lot of details in the facts and in the comments. If you search for the Kickstarter, like the person who's running it, it just says like it'll be responses from the person running the Kickstarter. It answers a lot of questions in there about like the quality of the paper and everything else. But really, let's be honest, the best thing you can do is tune in to our Alex Antone interview coming this week on Audible Interlude. All right. Let me button that up. What's next? I need my notes back. I got lost in the compendium. Oh, okay. This is fun. We've got an update from Call Sign Longbow. They have actual tooled, painted parts for the Ghost. Very exciting. I love seeing stuff like this. I've talked about it before. It's just fun seeing the production happening and knowing that these figures are going to be in our hands sometime in the next couple of months.
I just want to jump in it like a ball pit, like bunch of toy parts.
That would
Scrooge
be weird.
McDuck into it and just swim around.
Exactly.
I would be afraid something would get stuck somewhere. Those are tiny little parts. They could be invasive. Oh, real quick, I forgot to put this slide in here. I played the Wrath of Cobra demo over the weekend. Me and my son played it, and it's a blast. It is very much like the Ninja Turtles arcade game. Lots of variety in the enemies. Like, it's very thrilling to see familiar enemy types show up. It's tons of fun. It's a 1-player, 2-player. It's up to 4-player. It ran on my computer, and believe me, I do not have the best computer in the world. So if you've got the Steam service, you can get the demo right now and check it out. It's awesome, and I can't wait to get the full version of the game. It was great. All right. My notes are disheveled for some reason. I don't know what's going on.
It's not like we have any news that happened over the last week. That
I know. There's so much staring me in the face.
We gotta take a little trip to London and look at some werewolves.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So this is Fresh Monkey Fiction adding to their Operation Monster Force line. Although I don't know if this is... What's the impression you guys have gotten from this? Is this officially part of Operation Monster Force, or is this like... Are they looking at this separately?
I took it as part of Monster Force. Like, this is...
I mean, it's
just
werewolves.
Another faction.
Right. Well, whatever the case, these are going to be scaled to go alongside the Operation Monster Force stuff. Swordsman 007, his hair was perfect. This guy's hair is perfect.
He has no pina colada, though.
This is Count Iron Moon, and as always, I will default to you guys in your knowledge of foreign G.I. Joe things.
Well,
because, this is Action Force stuff, right?
Yeah, he's got like the Baron Ironblood like
design
top. Yeah, but he doesn't have like the same
helmet
or anything like that.
But
definitely styled after Action Force. Baron Ironblood,
this would be like the classified version of Ironblood.
But we have a lot of mix and match parts. Wreckship 85 asked, is there going to be physical stuff for Monster Force at Joe Fest?
Oh, yes.
They had so much stuff last year at Joe Fest, prototypes that still haven't been announced this year. So, yes, there will be physical. Now, I don't know if they're going to have anything available because I think the figures still aren't at the point yet where they can be sold. Where it's end of summer is still their projection. So I doubt they're going to have anything available, but they will have stuff on display that you can look at and see in person. I imagine they're going to have they might have some final paint masters. I think that's what they've been showing. Yeah. So I believe they'll have some paint masters on hand there, but you're going to get to see some stuff in person for sure. Wotaz says he has a Ferengi energy whip. See, I was thinking of the energy whip that the Cobra soldiers had because it looks a lot like the one that came with the Super 7 Ultimate. But whatever the case, it's an energy whip. Always a good thing. Blast effects, lots of hands, hat. I like this is just labeled hat. We also have Major Noir. Now, is this is...
Now, he has the head of Baron Ironblood. So it's like they just swapped the bodies.
Yeah.
They weren't crossing over too many trademarks.
Well, that's what they've done with a few of them. As we
Mhm.
go through, you can see where like some of the helmets go on different figures to create familiar looks, which of course encourages you to buy the entire set so you
Right,
can
'cause
do the right kind of.
honestly, who is displaying him with that human head?
I mean, I kind of like that human head.
Oh, I love the human head, but that is totally going on Baron Ironblood.
Yeah, I like the human head. It's
because-
just going to go on another figure if I have this.
So this body, though, this is not anything specifically Action Force. This is just sort of a generic fascist-looking body.
Well,
That I can remember.
the other Crimson Moon helmet. So that is the Crimson. What do you call it? The one that was the Cobra. They did the Cobra Commander
Red
remake
laser?
of it. The red laser, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's that design.
Oh, okay. I'm curious to see how this coat is going to work because I find it hard to believe that leg articulation is just going to be completely useless. Like, I wonder if they're going to have slits up the side or the front or how that's going to be. But we'll find out in a little over a year, I guess. Let's see. Wolfsbane. Awesome
Okay.
looking character. Now, this is supposed to be like Red Jackal, right?
Yeah, because he's got the Destro alternate head.
Which,
But-
look at that thing. Robo Sapien.
That is the guy, the motorcycle cyborg from Demons, just gone full robot.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Like, as soon as I saw it, I was just like, oh, I need a movie theater playset and a motorcycle staff.
I love that it comes with the hands also. Like, it's not just the gloved hands, and they're like,
Mhm.
well, it's just a robot wearing gloves. Like, they actually did robot hands. And then all these interchangeable effects on these blast gauntlets look really cool as well. And then the suitcase. But what's interesting to me is the Crimson Moon Contagion
Right?
looks very Resident Evil-y. Like, just like the from the first movie, the
Mm-hmm.
strandy things. No way.
So it makes
No,
me wait.
no, you know what it looks like? I'm wrong. I'm totally wrong. It looks like the virus from the Nick Cage movie. The Nicolas Cage movie where he's Stanley. Sean Connery is definitely not James Bond.
The Rock.
The Rock, thank you. It looks like the disease thing from The Rock. Remember at the end, he's like sweating his butt off, trying to like disarm the bomb or whatever it is.
It's been too long since I saw The Rock.
Oh my gosh! Thank you, New York.
But I
Night,
smell what
1974.
he is cooking.
They're going to
But
remake The Rock, starring The Rock.
This
And now
has
Nicolas
me.
Cage will be the Sean Connery role.
This has me wondering. Like, is the werewolf? It basically is the contagion what causes
That's what I'm
people
thinking.
to turn into werewolves? Because
That's
that's
my
even
thought.
more awesome.
Let's see. Crimson Moon Trooper, just excellent werewolf soldier.
Mhm.
Yeah,
A lot like the Nightmare Demons from American Werewolf in
I was
London.
thinking that.
Yeah. And then
But
that one
better.
comes with, I guess that's a little closer to the red laser helmet, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's the same sculpt. It's just this one is more of the colors that the
Right.
original Palatoy Red Laser figure had.
Now this one, I take a
There's
little
the
bit
Iron
of,
Blood helmet.
I know, I take a little bit of issue with this one because I love that helmet, but I don't particularly want the torn up zombie suit. Like, if it weren't for that helmet, I probably wouldn't buy this figure.
Yeah, because and this body could be used with the Red Laser head to mix and match there. But yeah, the fact that it's got battle damage. I know how you feel about battle damage.
I don't like it, Noel. Well, this is essentially the
Yeah, I
same
guess it is
body,
the same
just
body.
with some web gear. So I'm betting you could take the web gear off and use this body. See, they want you to buy like 5 of each of these.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sure.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing. And look, it looks great. If you want a zombie werewolf or just a zombie dude, although I like the idea of a zombie dude that turns into a zombie werewolf, I might have just sold myself on that. You guys know how I am.
Under
a
a
zombie.
zombie moon.
He's literally a zombie werewolf. Like he's a zombie, but the moon comes up and he turns into a zombie werewolf. Now I'm all in on this. Never mind. I take it back. What a great concept. And then finally, I think we've got one more. The Crimson Moon Exterminator. Because they're going to do a heavy gunner type with this one. Well, technically, this isn't a heavy gunner because that's just an AK-47. But he's got heavy armor, a jetpack, and hoses. You know, I love a good hose.
He loves them hoses.
At first, when I had read about it before I saw the photos, I was like, I don't know if I need a deluxe. And then it was like, a werewolf with a jetpack?
I know.
What?
Right?
Yep. I need this.
Yeah, this is incredible. And look, if it was in the budget, I absolutely would be buying at least 2 of each of these trooper ones. But it's not in the budget, so I'm just gonna have to stick to 1 of each. That's me having restraint.
And we get the exterminator helmet, which is now the Hasbro designed.
Oh, you're right. I didn't notice.
Yeah.
It has the full. I didn't even notice the differences in those.
Yeah. So this it's designed to look like the Cobra Commander, although it's not quite there because I'm sure
right.
That's a copyright. You know, that's something they don't want to skirt with too much.
Right. They don't want to push it.
Yeah. It's got a little, like, you know, flares out. It's got a little Prince Valiant look to it.
Will our little Outcast reference there? We don't love them hoes. Instead of brains, the zombie werewolves just mumbles barf. Oh, I don't like thinking of barf as a zombie. That's sad. Wotej, is that what Thundar meant when he exclaimed demon dogs?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. That is it. All right, so that is the first wave of Order of the Crimson Moon due in fall of I think optimistically due in fall of 2025. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, there's so much awesome stuff that isn't even G.I. Joe that's coming out. But now, guys, I think it's time. I think we have to talk about G.I. Joe. It's in the name of the show, right? All right.
Okay, I guess so.
Yeah.
New York Night 1974 says, my budget is $500 for this line.
Well,
ooh, I like that's a good
New
number.
York, you didn't put any sort of period in there, so.
Oh wow! So he's going to buy
500,000?
No, he's going to buy 500 of these.
Oh,
his budget is he can buy 500.
That is army building infinity.
I think he just single-handedly backed the whole thing because this is technically a Kickstarter type project on BigBadToyStore.com, which I completely forgot to mention. They need to get a certain number of pre-orders in order for this to go into production. But my gosh, I can't imagine that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
These are fantastic. And especially if this is still rolling when the first Operation Monster Force figures start getting into people's hands. And I'm a little surprised they didn't wait for that. Well, I bet they thought they were going to be in people's hands by now. And they just didn't quite make it. Because this was, you know, probably a year ago they were planning this out. Anyway, back this looks awesome. Can't wait to see him in person. All right, now let's move along to the Joe stuff. But first, the day of the live stream, June the 4th, 2024, I got this notification first thing in the morning from Hasbro Pulse because they may not notify you about stuff going on sale for 10 minutes after it goes on sale, but they'll let you know if your Pulse Premium membership has expired. Lickety split.
I would have loved it if they had put a line in there as well as you cannot access the Pulse Premium YouTube channel to watch your Yojo June.
Well, what I thought was interesting this time, this is the first it's happened to me. So I was on my phone and I wasn't logged into Pulse. When I went, they actually had the pre-orders available for you to purchase before they went live to the public, but they tacked on the Pulse membership with it if you weren't logged in.
Oh.
So like you could go buy it at 1 o'clock if you weren't a Pulse membership Pulse member yet, but they would automatically throw that Pulse membership into your cart. I was like,
Smart.
oh, let me go ahead and log in real quick because I don't need to buy this twice.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah.
So obviously I immediately clicked on the little link there. Well, I didn't click on the link because I don't click on links in emails. I went to Hasbro Pulse and renewed my membership. That was my first purchase of the day, with many more to come. Well, no actual purchases, I guess. We don't do that anymore. So this is something I wanted to point out. I wish I'd put it a little later on in the show. Over Tony's shoulder, I noticed these 2 boxes that they never mentioned. They're the only 2 boxes there because, sometimes they'll have a display. They'll have a couple of sets of shelves with Joe product in it. But it was just the Swamp Masher and the Shark 9000.
Which sounds like a vacuum cleaner.
And let me tell you, I had to watch the whole video. Like, I had to slowly go through to find a shot where I could even tell what the bottom one was, because Tony was kind of in front of it the whole time. And there was only one time where he moved over enough to actually be able to tell what that box was. Because as you all well know, my familiarity with 90s, because Shark 9000 is 90s, right?
Yeah, 93.
Yeah, it's Battlecore.
Yeah, definitely outside of my ability to immediately recognize, you know what I mean? Like, seeing the figure highlighted on the right side did nothing for me, whereas I'm sure plenty of people immediately would have known what that was. But anyway, I managed to get a still. If you're watching us live, then you can see those 2 boxes. And while they may not mean anything, they have used things like that to indicate future possibilities.
Well, you know what figure the Shark 9000 comes with, right?
No, I don't. Noel, I just explained all of this in very clear detail. I have no idea what anything
I thought
is.
maybe you'd researched in the interim.
I barely know what a Shark 9000 is.
Well, Shark 9000 comes with Cutter, so I think this is telegraphing that we're getting a HasLab whale.
Well, I hope you're right. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Very interesting point. No, the only thing I know about the Shark 9000 is because I would like to have one. Everyone I've seen is yellow, like grotesquely yellow. So I may not ever have one.
It's because our oceans are polluted.
Ooh, Will R says if it expires again, then Lenny comes to your house. I'm going to go ahead and cancel right now. All right.
And
so,
just hold up the microphone when he gets there. It's like, okay, you need to now do an interview for our podcast.
Yes. And I will renew for 10 years all at once. Let's go. And then I will turn the microphone off. HasLab got the coveted San Diego comic. Oh, I forgot to mention, BMAC from the Transformers brand has apparently been working on the Joe brand since January. And since Emily is working on San Diego Comic-Con, because apparently Joe has the feature spot at San Diego Comic-Con this year. So Emily is working overtime on that. Was not available for the live stream. So BMAC is our marketing person for this live stream. I think he did a great job. He obviously has enthusiasm for Joe. He's got a fun demeanor. So as much as I did miss Emily, I enjoyed BMAC. I thought he did a good job. So back to that. HasLab got the coveted SDCC spot. So the Joe HasLab, rather than being launched in Yojo June, as has been the case the past couple of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a big deal. It's a really big deal for Hasbro to recognize G.I. Joe in a way to say, look, we're going to make your HasLab the big San Diego Comic-Con HasLab, because in the past that's been Star Wars, in the past that's been Marvel, and this year it's Joe, and that's wild.
Yeah.
And that leads me to believe I am doubling down on it is not the Rattler, because I do not think the Rattler has enough sizzle to be the featured San Diego Comic-Con, like, ooh, look at this big deal. I just don't.
With some of the cryptic way they were talking. I don't think it is either.
Well,
But
they mentioned that they're going to have to redo the floor plan because there's not going to be enough space. Now, obviously, they're kind of half joking about some of the things that they said, but they did make mention of there won't be room for this HasLab, which,
Man, where am I going to fit this terror drone?
oh, that would be terrible.
I think with as much as they were going on about the Iron Grenadiers and doing a lot of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, it's going to come out of left field and no one saw it, but we're going to get a classified demon and despoiler.
I mean, look, that I would be fine with that. That would be awesome. Not because I want a despoiler, which is at best a fourth string vehicle to me.
Sure.
But it's something interesting and different. It would be a great toy, which again, I don't feel the Rattler is. As we discussed, or as has been discussed, I think we've talked about it a few times. You have the Rattler that you put two figures in, and there you go. You got two figures and a Rattler. To me, it's not the most fun. Look, I've got two of them up there. It's a great smaller toy, but for classified, I want something that can carry some troops, that has a lot of interactive things to do. My initial note was that I think a tank would fit the description of something that is big, that is iconically G.I. Joe, and that they could do a lot with to make it really impressive, not just to Joe fans, but to everyone. But Noel, I think a whale also would do that.
Well, but I don't think we're getting a Joe vehicle. I think we're getting a Cobra vehicle because
I have an argument for that.
No.
Because obviously your logic is we got Hiss, we got Dragonfly, it's time for Cobra again, right? Except Cobra currently in classified has several more vehicles than G.I. Joe does.
That's why I whether it be the Iron Grenadiers or the Dreadnoks, right now
so you're thinking third party.
I'm leaning more towards they are going to do something for another faction. Or if it's not San Diego, we are going to see a vehicle for a different faction that isn't Cobra or Joe.
Well, and you're wait, hang on. We got to check in with the chat over here. We got a couple of interesting thoughts going on. New York Night 1974, new drink, the Iron Grenadine. I like it. Hit up Wreck Ship 85 with that one.
Well, he's in the chat, so I'm sure he saw it.
Will R, can I interest you in some military style action figures, Mr. Knight? Let's see. Jeff Butler says, I think the Rattler does have the iconography Cobra-wise, including Wild Weasel, a gunner, a ramp rat, and a pilot Baroness as figure tiers. Look, and that's a very widely held opinion, and it is iconic. There's no debating that. But iconic and exciting are two different things. And to me personally, the Rattler just isn't that exciting as a classified offering.
Well, I mean, when I'm thinking of vehicles that would be size-wise would be the right size to do this. Like, I can't think of a Cobra vehicle outside of that, except for maybe the Moray, which is probably a little too big. And I mean, it'd be a great troop carrier. Holds a lot of people, a lot of interaction because you've got the hydrofoils and everything.
Yeah, that checks all my boxes.
Enough. Yeah, I don't know if it's an iconic enough vehicle though.
Right. And that's the thing is you there's so many different factors that we just, there are things that we're not even aware of that go into these decisions. And if I'm talking about just the sizzle of San Diego Comic-Con, well, yes, the Rattler is above the hydrofoil in that way, I think.
I still think that the water moccasin would be a great classified HasLab because you could upscale it where you beef it up a little bit to make it actually be better to what a realistic scale would be. But we've already got a copperhead.
Yeah, and I still think, looking at the Vamp for $100, looking at the Stinger for presumably $100, I still think the water moccasin's I would rather have I would
If
rather
you
have
keep
$100
it at
water
that same
moccasin.
scale, I think the water moccasin would be served well to actually increase the scale like they did with the Hiss.
Oh, I think it's very doable, but again, personal preference, I would rather have a $100 water moccasin than a HasLab water moccasin.
Yeah.
And we are also thinking that they had a huge or a big booth to begin with when previous Comic-Cons Joe has had a very tiny presence. So maybe they just have to expand on a 2
Their
by
tiny
2 booth.
I
And they're
don't
like,
know.
oh my gosh, now we're actually getting 10 by 10.
Well, I
I'll
think
tell
I
you what,
made
though, the last time I was at Comic-Con was in 2009, and boy, did G.I. Joe have a gigantic booth at that point.
Well, yeah.
And they had Sergeant Slaughter there.
Yeah. I thought I had made a note of exactly what they said, but maybe not. Okay. Well, anyway, we got plenty of other stuff to talk about. So yeah, San Diego Comic-Con is going to be very exciting for us Joe fans. Oh, here it is. I put it in the right place, oddly enough. Is there enough space? They're going to have to change the floor plan. So yeah, that could have just been a reference to how small Joe's space has been in the past. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a gigantic vehicle or playset or whatever. So anyway, real quick, I made a list of Cobra vehicles and Joe vehicles to kind of support my idea that it could still be another Joe vehicle. Right now, Cobra has the Coil, the Air Chariot, the Hiss, 2 different Trouble Bubbles, the Ferret, the Stinger, and the HMS. Joe has 3 different Rams, the Tiger Paw, the Vamp, and the Dragonfly. So Cobra has significantly more vehicles to go to war with at this point in time. So the first thing they announced at the beginning of this live stream was that they were making all of the announcements there on June 4th. There are not going to be any more reveals in Yojo June. It's just going to be a series of pre-orders. And then they mentioned that they will be doing a Stinger unboxing. And then somewhere on the social medias, they're going to be unboxing the retro figures that were revealed during this live stream. But that's it. That's everything. And you got to think it's because they have to save some stuff for San Diego Comic-Con. And I'm fine with, like, the amount of pre-orders that we've got this month is plenty. I don't need any more until August. All right. Oh, and one more, just a little tip from your pal Dave. Turn the chat off when you watch these.
Oh, yeah.
Don't expose yourself to that toxicity. Nobody needs that. All right, let's dive right in to Dial Tone. This is one of my guys. This is one of my special 1986 guys, Special Mission Brazil. Can't be too far off. We're one step closer to Special Mission Brazil.
Just gotta get a mainframe in there somewhere. Come on.
Yeah, it'll happen. Didn't they name drop him, or am I crazy?
I think you're crazy.
I'm crazy. Well,
Dial-tone, mainframe, all these very relevant in the year 2024 words.
Well, they're making him relevant though, because look at this. He's got his neck mic with his little earpiece rather than the big giant thing. His backpack has been streamlined a little bit, and if you look closely, it looks like there is a fold-down keyboard on his backpack. There are definitely hinges down there at the bottom, so that folds down for something. He has got a cell phone, and as was mentioned, that cell phone slides into the top of his blaster to be used as, I guess he's got an app that doubles as a scope or a rangefinder or some kind of thing. Kind of a neat concept, and apparently a real one. There are videos online of people with cell phones mounted on top of their blasters. So that's a thing. Oh, and then he's got one of those little listening device gun type things. I just said gun, but I think you can say gun if you're talking about a listening device. I think that's okay.
I don't think the algorithm's gonna make a difference for that. I think it's just gonna hear the word.
And
We're
he's
far enough
got
into the episode.
we're enough into the episode where I should have put the news banner up by now. That's for sure. I like he's still got all of his like doodads and gadgets stuck all over him. And his mustache and a beret.
Yeah, the head sculpt is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he looks great. I'm very, very happy. This is another example to me of what I think classified should be, where
Mhm.
it is very clearly dial tone, but he is updated. His vest is no longer a sweater vest. Now it's like a tactical vest, which thankfully does not have a bunch of plug-in pouches on it. Looks great. I'm very happy. Colors look great. I'm totally happy with this one.
Yeah, I mean the colors are they're a little muted. We'll see what they look like when we see the figure itself, because some of them have popped a little bit more when we actually saw the actual figure. But he looks good. Like I like the way he looks like this.
And real quickly, to the chat, New York Night 1974, that is called the parabolic antenna.
Oh, nice. I like that. You got to be careful when you're using parabolic antennas, though. You can gain a lot of weight if you don't use them right.
We used parabolic microphones a lot in concerts, so it's only fair that there's listening devices as well.
Next up, we have our bulkier, more armored Saw Viper in lovely purple. What do you guys think of this one?
He's a chunky boy.
He is.
He is.
He's very purple. Like he is just 3 to 4 shades of purple there.
Well, and then the
little yellow.
And the neon yellow on his visor and his belt buckle. I dig this guy a lot. Other than his appearance in the comic, I don't have a ton of attachment to the Saw Viper. I do not own the figure, never have. I like what they've done here, though.
It makes the upgrades make sense for someone that's running around with a chainsaw.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about the weapon?
I think it's kind of cool because it does. I mean, it fits the Saw Viper thing.
I'm good with it. More of a chainsaw gun than Buzzer's was. Like it actually has the gun handle on the back.
That's a good point.
I would have preferred like if Buzzer's gun looked like this, so his weapon looked more like this.
Will R says that this is his purple-headed warrior.
So my question is, as soon as I saw this, I said, how long before a third-party manufacturer puts out an alternate head with a cigarette?
Oh yeah, and the alternate.
And didn't you imagine the helmet will come?
Yeah,
off?
The helmet does come off.
Which I don't know why you would.
Well, because it was in the comics, he took it off.
But this is like Devo magnificence right here.
Oh, and there's some other parts that the render doesn't reveal. Some other things you can mess around with, apparently. I don't know if they're not in the render or if you just can't tell exactly what it is. But it looks to me like the saw is removable because it has its own handle. So it probably pops off of that. I just hope it stays on securely. And I got to think,
Hasbro at the point that they would let figures come with body parts or bones of some of the Joes that he's killed, and that's why they're not showing it in the render?
Probably not.
Darn. Like we just got, we don't have him in our hands yet, but I mean, we're getting Doc, so.
Well, and he's got a bunch of holes in his vest.
He's got to put somebody back together.
Swordsman 007 says they took an M249 saw and added a chainsaw. Hey, I'm down with it. The more saw, the better. The saw is family. Wreckship 85, minor nitpick. I wish his mouth was more of a snarl or smirk. I kind of agree with you on that one. Oh no, Will R. They classified him. No cigarette now. He'll come with a vape. Oh, boo.
He's not in his 20s.
All right. Moving along to our June the 4th pre-orders, which have already happened. We're going to start off with Storm Shadow version 2, which I absolutely hated at first. I said, this is a full figure form of the Lieutenant Falcon head. That is what I told Noel and Kristian in the chat. I have since revised that somewhat extreme opinion. And I'm actually mostly happy with this now, though I have a few nitpicks. What do you guys think of this?
I'm still not a fan.
I still don't like it, but I have finally been able to narrow down what it is that I don't like, and it's the head, the hood
Oh, really?
with the head. Yeah, it just looks kind of smashed.
See, that's one of the things I feel like they captured pretty well compared to, because if you look at the original figure, he kind of does have like
his is more like flared out,
but it's more smushed down than, like, I'll picture things in my head and then I'll go look at the figure and I'll be like, well, I'm not right at all. And in my mind, Storm Shadow version 2 has like a really cool, like, bigger hood that kind of doesn't clench up around his chin. Like, it looks pretty cool. And then you go look at the figure and to be honest, it kind of looks like this. Like, it is flared out a little more around the forehead. But this isn't as off as I first thought it was.
I'm happy for the people that are excited for him. I mean, you're finally getting some extra hands for him.
Like, yeah, nice reuse of the quick kick hands.
Yeah.
The things that I have not been able to convince myself to like, the sleeves, I don't feel like those sleeves work because he definitely had looser sleeves on the original, and this looks a little weird to me. But I haven't seen anybody else mention the sleeves, so that may be a me problem. But they just look like rolled up shirt sleeves, but at least they're not ragged.
Good point.
I think he's got a lot going on there in the midsection with that belt and the fringe down there at the waist, which may or may not be removable.
The belt and the loincloth and the skirt are all one piece.
Okay.
And absolutely is removable.
If you remove the skirt,
although
I'm sure.
I don't know how much you'll damage it if you remove it. Like, you may have to cut it to get it off.
That's what I was going to say. Everything is removable
right.
with an X-Acto knife.
If you believe in yourself, anything is edible. But all of these little kibble pieces, the rope, the shoulder thing, the belt, those are all loose. Those are not part of the actual figure. And the deco, I liked Lenny talking about working with Tony to develop the camo. I really appreciated that Lenny was like, I couldn't figure it out. I could not get it to look right. And I went to Tony and he got it. He figured it out. I really liked that expression of teamwork that they shared.
He sat down and played a game of Tetris with him.
Yes. But the deco is over the entire figure. So if you remove that stuff, it's the tampo is everywhere. So it's not like you're going to have big blank spots if you take the belt and everything off. The pouches look big, but then again, you go look at Storm Shadow version 2, and he has got big pouches going across his stomach. The rope is accurate to the figure. It just doesn't look as weird on version 2. So, like, this is not.
And I'm not crazy about the shin guards.
Like, well, again,
the original figure just has white with texture.
Oh, it's those. Hang on just a minute.
So real quickly, as he's doing that, going to the chat, Robert Straben, sorry if I butchered your name, he needs a grappling hook. Yes. If he came with a grappling hook, I would probably get him.
I hope everybody got a
But
good
then
look at
sell
those.
him and keep the grappling hook.
I hope everybody got a good look at those licensed Macho Man Randy Savage Zubaz I'm sporting right now. It is literally
Yeah.
laundry day. Okay, so I'll just keep my finger there so it'll stay focused. So you can see those elements. The pouches are there. The rope is there. The hood, like I said, is smushier than I remembered it being. Yeah, it's lower on the classified figure, but it's also not like a big loose hood like it was in my head.
You can see his eyebrows and his eyes very clearly.
The shin guards, if they had had the money for more deco, then they may well have looked like what the classified figure looked like. But you see what I'm talking about with the sleeves?
Mm-hmm.
They're and really that's my biggest nitpick out of that whole thing. But it's not, my point is, it's not as far off of this figure as I initially thought it was. But the bottom line is it leaves plenty of room for a retro card back release.
It's true.
Right? Isn't that what we say about everything now?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, this was the only one of these pre-orders that I skipped. It's 88, so it's okay. It's in the years that I, that are beyond my usual collecting, even though I did have, this was one of the only 88 figures that I actually owned as a kid.
Yeah, same here. So if they come back around and do a retro card back with a little different paint job and less of that kibble, you think you'll probably end up getting it?
Possibly. As I said, it's, sculpt-wise, it's probably not the worst. He's too loud. He's just got too much going on. And it's just, I don't know. There's something about him that just has not gelled with me.
Toy Connections in the house. Anything old school WWE is good.
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, you know what? No, I'm going to agree with that because even going back and watching the new gen stuff, I love it. It's terrible, but I love it. All right, moving on to look at this Iron Grenadier. Now, I will admit up front, I have zero attachment to the Iron Grenadiers. This was all outside of my time, and it's a faction that I think is really cool. And I've always been a huge fan of Destro. I love the idea of him having his own army. I have read the stuff in the comics. But as far as them changing up the look, it doesn't offend me personally.
Yeah, I think this was the one that probably upset the most people of all these figures.
But that surprises me because if you look at the original Iron Grenadier and then you look at the 50th 2-pack Iron Grenadier, and then there was another, like, I feel like every version they have put out of the Iron Grenadier looks significantly different than what came before.
Well, in asterisk what I just said, yes, this is one that people were most vocally upset about. It's also the first one to sell out of the pre-orders. Like this one was gone in 10 minutes of going live.
Oh, that's funny.
This thing is sharp.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is going to look incredible
whenever they do that Iron Grenadier's Destro, I cannot wait to have him being flanked by these guys.
New York Knight 1974 says, I hate the IG guns. We're going to talk about the guns after we go through all the reveals. We've got a little conversation to have there. Wotaz says, is that a cavalry saber? I wondered, is it the same thing as the Crimson Guards? Does anybody have a Crimson Guard handy? I'm not getting up again.
It is way over there.
I do
but,
not.
But you know what? I think it's different, though.
It
I don't know. Somebody in the chat,
ornate, but
well, is it more ornate?
It could just be because
paint?
It's painted gold.
Yeah, because the bat looks more ornate too.
Because honestly, even with Storm Shadow and Viper's swords, Vipers, because the snake heads are painted red,
right,
stick out so much more. And I'm like, oh, they're different. No, they're not.
Yeah, which again, we'll go into our conversation after we get through all of the reveals. Jeff Butler, I think this is the best IG look. It improved on the look of the original by miles. I really dig this as what my idea of what the Iron Grenadiers would be. I think it's cool, but I also think there's also room for like a field trooper that looks more like the original figure.
I like the way they did the coat, to where you still have a long coat, but because of the way it spreads out, you can still get articulation out of those legs. That's a nice touch. So it'll be like nice to have in a couple different poses.
Well, I'll be honest, I want to get this. It was really fun seeing them swap the head and the hands around, or have pull up the version. This is another thing that I really liked in their conversation. Lenny talking about like coming up with a backstory for this figure with the bat head and hands. Like talking about, oh, maybe, you know, one of the Iron Grenadiers downloaded his consciousness into a bat body. I'm like, this guy is one of us. This is the kind of like inner storytelling that we all do with these
and
figures.
I was even thinking that with the head sculpt, because if you look at the nose and the mouth piece, it very much so mirrors the alternate head for the bat.
But what I'm hoping, because one of the first things I want to do is put the Prophet Director Destro head on this body. But who knows if they'll be compatible or not. But I'm going to give it a try the second I get this figure, because I think this would be a great look for Destro also. To the point where when I saw this, I was like, oh, so we're looking at the classified version of Destro version 2, huh? But I don't think they'll do that. I think this is too much of a departure from Destro version 2. I'm not saying they won't put a Destro head on this body, but I don't think they'll try to push that as the first release of Destro version 2. Let's see. This gorgeous, beautiful robot. Oh my gosh.
No interest in an Iron Grenadier bat. None whatsoever.
Me either.
I bought 2 of them.
I was like, yeah. Well, you know me, I did my pre-order roulette, but I'm not going to cancel any of them. Yeah, I had the exact same thought. I was like, I love the bats that we've got, but Iron Grenadier bat is way outside of my wheelhouse. And then this pops up, this golden beauty. It's gold. I love gold.
Painted gold as opposed to gold plastic.
Right.
I love them pointing it out.
It's not going to be that weird marbled metallic plastic that you see all across Marvel Legends. It's actually going to look gold, which is beautiful.
This is the first bat that I bought multiples of at the reveal.
Well, and I want to buy more of them because of the red head, because I want to put those red heads on my standard bats to make them look like Sunbow bats.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
So I will say this, and again, this is like the pickiest of nits, but I'm thrilled to see the clear chest plates. However, out of all of the bats they've released, this is the one that would have made the most sense to have a big giant logo on its chest plate. But I'll take it. I'm happy to have clear chest plates.
Depending on how the blacks match up, the clear chest plates will go on my original bats and the black ones, because I think
don't the black. Oh wait, no, the black chest plates are blank, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking they had a Cobra symbol on them, but you're right. So you could get so I'm sure somebody out there does Iron Grenadier water slides.
Oh, sure.
So you could put a little Iron Grenadier logo on that black. Ooh, that's the move for me anyway.
Yeah, I love the way this looks on its own, but that was like those things right there, the chest plate and the head, were like, I want to mix and match my bats now. So
yeah.
Yeah,
this
thing
thing
is dangerous
fantastic.
territory, Hasbro. You're figuring out the ways to get more of my money.
Toy Connections, what is up, Ken? Ken is here hanging out tonight. Toy Hacks, good point. Toy Hacks is incredible, except that they haven't done a label sheet for the Monster Blaster APC, which is infuriating to me.
dare
All right, next up, finally, Bazooka's best pal, the like one of my most wanted, only because I have to have Alpine and Bazooka on the shelf together, and I think Alpine looks great. A lot of talk about the fact that he doesn't have a backpack.
That does seem to be the one biggest omission, because
But
who climbs a mountain without a backpack?
well, Alpine does. He's just that good. And you know what? Guess who else does? Sylvester Stallone. Ever seen Cliffhanger?
Unfortunately, yeah.
He goes through like 73 minutes of that movie in bike shorts and a tank top, let alone having a backpack. If Sly can do it, Albert Pine can do it.
Albert M. Pine.
I told you guys I bought one of the Ollie's Dusties the other day just so I would have just a spare Joe figure on my unboxing table. And Dusty's backpack is going to work just fine on this guy. Like color-wise, I think it's going to look good. It'll work. His gear stows, the climbing blade things, whatever they are, do go through the loops in his back. And if you notice, he's got that loop on the front of his harness, and the rope actually goes through that. So you can do a little rappelling action. Goggles, clear goggles, look great. He's got his hat. Love his Idaho shirt. I think that was a nice little add-in.
That was my only nitpick, and it's
really?
dumb one.
You don't like it? I like it. I think it's fun.
I don't know what it is. My brain just, because he is decoed out. I'm not saying he's missing anything, but I just keep thinking like, you used a deco for that we can barely see. I feel like we could have gotten something else. I don't know what. And by the time the figure comes out, I'll be used to it. And it won't, again, I don't hate it. Don't think that. But it's my one teeny tiny little nitpick.
Really? See, I love the Idaho. I think it's great.
I don't mind it because otherwise you're just going to have, because the original figure just had a plain white shirt underneath his vest, and so
he's a plain white tees kind of guy.
Rexship 85 says I would rather him come with a potato. Honestly, well, Rexship, keep an eye on your local. What is the $5 store? I can't think what it's called now.
Five Below.
Five Below. They have little sets of like 1/12 scale food service things for $5. No doubt. Well, they have French fries now. You can go get a thing with French fries and like other fast food in it right now. No doubt.
That Red Rocket's Diner.
Yeah, there you go.
But they also at Five Below have Mr. Potato Heads, and I feel like you need a larger potato if Alpine is going to climb it.
Dr. Mindbender has been harvesting mutant potatoes due to their potential for spying.
I'm pretty sure that was a Darkwing Duck episode.
Because of all the eyes. All right, anyway.
I'm leaving the podcast early, sorry.
Oh, his G.I. Joe credit card. That would have been great.
Yeah,
that would have been really nice. And you know what? The precedent has been set because the Marvel Legends Jimmy Woo came with the business card. Like it was in his hand, like an interchangeable hand. So they could have done a credit card hand for Alpine. That would have been great. All right. Toy Connections +1 for the Darkwing Duck comment.
That's why I'm here. Twin
is.
Beaks is a great episode.
All right, moving on to the retro card back reveals. This is my pick for best in show. I was so happy to see this. I like the classified Stalker, but you guys know I've had a problem with their low contrast camos from the start of the line. This guy looks great.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it, first thought in my head was, Dave has got to be smiling from ear to ear right now.
I was when this popped up on screen. I was at work, kind of covertly watching this while I was working on other things. My phone was like up between my two monitors, and when this popped up, I was like, "Whoa!" and then kind of like looked around. Fortunately, I'm in a cubicle, so it didn't really draw any attention. Wreckship 85 is the camo beret a deal breaker though? No, it's not, because I'm going to put the old Stalker beret on this Stalker.
It's a good call.
Because I get that they're taking that from the card art, but yeah, I'm not a fan of it.
I mean, the pulverizer gun also, you got to have that. Well, I guess did the original Stalker classified?
That's what I was just wondering.
Yeah, I think it had that, didn't it?
Did it? Okay.
I'm not positive. It's on the shelf behind me, but I'm not.
I think it actually does. Now that
yeah, I think it does
yeah.
as well. And then they repainted it for Duke.
Yeah.
But regardless, this Stalker is fantastic. I love it. Like I said, I'm just going to put the old beret on it, and then I'm going to be good to go.
Or you could take the one from Beachhead, and you could have him be what's the character's name from Action Force with the red beret.
Well, I don't know that.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, the one that got leaked the night before the live stream.
Jammer, that's Stalker's name. Yeah.
The Cobra Trooper retro card back. And this is a point of clarification I feel like I need to make, because there's been so much conversation about this new subset of classified. I think it is an important distinction to make that Hasbro identifies this line as the retro card back series. It is not the retro collection. It is not the retro G.I. Joe classified collection. It is the retro card back collection, which means these are figures that come on retro style card backs. It does not necessarily mean that they're going to be those one-to-one recreations of Real American Hero stuff. So while I'm with you, or I'm with the people who have said they wish this was a little more retro, I don't think Hasbro has committed an egregious sin by putting a figure with those arm guards and shin guards out on the retro card. I think it still works for the intent of this line, which is to get older figures back in circulation. And I don't know that there's a figure in the entire classified series that needs to get into circulation more than the Cobra Trooper. We needed,
I like this one,
except for maybe the original Cobra Viper.
Even that one though, because I mean, so they did the Viper 3-pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's not the same colors as the Cobra Island Viper, but it has been out there and widely available. Whereas the Cobra Troopers really haven't been for a long time. I mean, the first ones were the Cobra Island ones, which were very difficult to get. And then the next release, what was that, 3 years
Cobra
ago?
Infantry.
Cobra Infantry was 2021, right?
Yeah.
So
and then you've had your officers and you've had your Python versions.
Right. But a basic Cobra Trooper, yeah. I mean, to be honest, this should be on the pegs at all times, but we know toys don't work that way anymore.
Yeah. But I mean, I love, this wasn't as far as I would have loved for them to have gone, but I do like the fact that, they've got the monotone blue across the chest. You don't have that dark chest piece anymore. So it does still pay homage to the original Cobra Trooper that way. The blue, we'll have to see what it looks like in hand. But this picture looks a lot better than those original images we saw.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is those leaked in-package images always look terrible.
Mm-hmm.
They were always taken, to return to the potato conversation, they're always taken with a potato. That's what Alpine should have come with. He should have come with a jitterbug. That's Alpine that's leaking all these terrible pictures in advance with his awful potato phone. I dig this though. I will get at least one just to have because. But I do kind of wish. Tell me what you guys think of this. I kind of wish they had put Scrap Iron's arms and legs on this.
I can't say I gave it any thought.
Yeah, I'd have to look at those in comparison and see.
They're relatively unadorned. He does have the elbow pad business, and he's got the little knee pads.
Mm-hmm.
But
Wreck Ship, if you want to pull his comment up. So Cobra Island version was number 12, and Cobra Infantry was number 24.
yeah,
So I
and
agree
we're in the
with his
and we're in
point.
the
I don't think it
130s
matters
now.
what year.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
But I still do want retro Vipers that look more like Sunbow-y colored too on the shelves.
Yeah,
So,
I mean the Viper is definitely due for a return as well. Actually, Wreck Ship, do some research on that one. When did those Cobra Island Viper? Well, those were 2020 as well, weren't they? Or were they
believe so.
2021? I don't know, but yeah, I would like to see a retro cardback Viper. And with that one, you really, well, they could do some adjusting there too, because they could do short sleeves.
Yeah.
There's some different tooling that could be
they
done
could
on
do
that.
the
You
vac
can do a
metal.
vac metal face now that we've established that they can do that in this line.
Yeah, yeah. I like that idea because they did that in the 25th, and it looks awesome. All right, and now speaking of vac metal, let's move on to look. It was hard for me to not call him best in show, but the Stalker was such a surprise. Like, we kind of all knew Cobra Commander was coming in some form. Stalker, just as easy as he was, because he's literally just a repaint, I was so surprised to see it. Whereas this, while it is probably the best figure they revealed, it didn't surprise me as much.
No, but you know, we knew we were going to get this. We knew, obviously, the mold was out there. We had it in the hiss. We didn't know we were getting vac metal, and that was definitely a huge surprise.
It was hinted at. They had said, Lenny has said they're working on it, and then on one of the podcasts that they go on, not ours, obviously, they had commented that something shiny was coming. So there were hints dropped about it, but we didn't know for sure. But what we really didn't know is how, in my opinion, how much better the colors would look on this one, and that it would have the nice long gloves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the Cobra Commander we've now waited 4 years for, so I want it in my hands now.
And he's got the plug-in piece for the holster that goes on his back. He's got his hairdryer weapon. Isn't there a better name for that we've talked about in the past? Microwave emitters, the Televiper. This is something else. I don't know. Whatever. Somebody in the chat, tell us what the heck is Cobra Commander's gun called. Kevin Riddle, vac metal, and I really like the light blue undershirt. The colors on this one look fantastic. So this is a must-have. I don't see anybody not buying this. Even people who kept the one that came with the hiss, will be getting this. I think
I still have mine. I considered parting with it, but and I probably will at this point. Especially now that we know this is on the way.
Yeah, I have no regrets about moving mine along. Thank you, G.I. Joeberg, the Venom Blaster. I believe that is correct. Mandalorian Jedi thought the shiny reference was that they were going to make figures from the Firefly TV show. No, somebody already tried that. It did not work out.
Ooh.
And real
it
quickly,
would be better now.
also, will our Cobra Commander walked so Super Trooper can run?
You got that right, buddy. What I'm expecting
now.
No
excuses now.
That's exactly right. That's all when Lenny shows up to tell me to renew, that's all I'm going to say is give me a Super Trooper, pal. Okay, so those are our retro card back reveals. Moving on, we already knew about these guys thanks to another one of those darn leaks. But we have Mad Marauders, Lowlight, and Spirit. And I just now noticed the blue on Lowlight's goggles, which is a choice.
Atrocious. I'm so at choice. Yes.
I actually, having the opportunity to see these in the live stream, there were much better pictures of them in there. Yeah, you got that right. Toy Reclaimer says, then we can get rapid fire. Let's go. I actually like these a lot more now. I think, in my opinion, they've done a good job of spreading those colors out in a reasonable way. I dig the look of these.
They look better than barbecue.
I'll agree with that, although I don't really mind barbecue. I like him. I don't know that I like him as barbecue. I like him as some kind of heavy trooper. I wouldn't mind giving him, you know what I might do? I might give Roadblock. No, I already did. I gave Roadblock the Ma Deuce that came with the 60th anniversary soldier. I think I'm going to give Mad Marauders Barbecue the gun that came with heavy artillery Roadblock.
Oh, that makes sense.
I like that. I'm going to see what that looks like. Not right now, but I'll put up pictures of that at Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram.
And I was trying to remember because it's been a little while since we saw this. It was February when these pictures leaked.
Oh my gosh,
wow.
really?
4 months ago. February 12th is when His Tank has the pictures up.
And they were packaged, right?
Yeah. It was It was an in package along with
That's
Slaughter at that
crazy.
time.
Wow, what is going on? Yeah, I agree. Rexship says the goggles should have been green to break up all that blue. I agree. They would look much, even if they were the bright green, they would look, I think, better. I'm okay with swapping out some accessories. Obviously, like I said, we've got a conversation to have about some of the parts reuse that's been going on, but I'm okay with what they've given these guys here. I don't think I'm as picky about, it just hit me. This picture of, hang on, Niall. This is a different eagle. This is not Freedom. This is an eagle called Niall. That picture has got to be one of the worst posed pictures of anything I've ever seen. I just realized how silly it looks in this picture. And I get that they're trying to show the wingspan, and it's literally just hey, look at this bird.
It should be on Spirit's backpack, just sitting there at the top, but they want to make sure you get the whole body in there.
Well, this is...
I'm okay with that, but at least you could still show the wingspan if you put the wings where they should be. I mean this with no disrespect. The way they've done this, it looks like a Muppet.
Yes, Niall. If you were not sure where that came from, that is the Navajo word for wind.
For what?
Wind.
Wind. Okay.
Yes.
Got it. All right. Next up, a mixed bag, literally and figuratively, because this color scheme has grown on me, but Sergeant Slaughter's pants are still just...
It looks like he's wearing thigh-high leg warmers. He's the first girl killed in an 80s horror movie.
I might consider... I'll have to see how the greens match. I might consider just putting entirely different legs on him. And I'm not a huge fan of the Kit Bash stuff, but I've done a few things that have made me happier with some of the figures. And I like the blue tank top. I like the idea of this. Those pants are, whew. I would have liked to see something different. But accessory-wise, he's great. I love he comes with a Mad Marauders version of his minifigure, which I had to grab this picture because this is hilarious and accurate. because I believe if you were to hit somebody with one of the new retro card backs, you could do some damage.
Yeah.
So this was a fun shot. I really liked this one. I will probably steal this for my shelf. But he's got the AK again, which is weird, but whatever.
It's a choice.
I do like that they put the blue tint on his sunglasses. I think it works a little better here than it does on low light. He's got the boxing gloves to go up against Big Boa. But the main event, everybody here knows what big fans we are of the itty bitty ditty bag. I almost was Lenny just there. Lenny, not once during that entire stream did he successfully say itty bitty ditty bag. I think he kept saying itty ditty bag. And people were saying, no, that's a duffel bag. But in reality, this is an itty bitty ditty bag. Like, maybe not to this Sergeant Slaughter figure, but to us, that's exactly what it is. I love it. I think it's a great inclusion. It's good looking soft goods. It's got shoulder straps. It's got a carrying strap. I'm thrilled with this. I think it's a great call. Now, I know you guys hate Sergeant Slaughter, so you're probably not going to pre-order this when it goes up tomorrow. But I will be ordering this guy and trying to fix his pants.
I'll be spending the $25-$30, whatever people are selling the duffel bag for on eBay. Like, I could have just bought the figure, but
it goes against your principles to buy a Sergeant Slaughter figure. Oh, and it was worth mentioning, Lenny almost got in trouble for putting the flag point on the back of the minifigure. They didn't elaborate on that, but he made mention of the fact that that was almost a problem, which is interesting. Yorktown Joe is doing the kind of mental gymnastics that I enjoy. He stole a weapon from the Cobra Armory in the movie when they infiltrated without weapons. Very good point. That is true. And we know the movie has had a lot of influence on certain things. So I'm down. All right. And the inevitable, but definitely sooner than I expected. Were you guys surprised that this thing is hitting this early?
Yeah. I mean, we got the vamp in hand, and I so it's one thing if we get the reveal before the other one comes out, like we did with the Tiger Paw and the
right
ferret. But yeah, it still seems pretty quick.
That's a good point, though, that I didn't really think about in my surprise at the stinger being revealed so close to the vamp. The amount of times they have like turned right around with a repaint like that. That's very true. But anyway, it looks great. Doors look great. Missiles look great. I'm still not thrilled at the mounting system they chose for the cannon and for the rocket launcher. I don't think it's secure enough. But it is what it is. It's got
the hints that they kept dropping, though, about, so with this one, you can take the back stand off and it can fit on other vehicles. You can take the rocket mounting system off and swap it out with other vehicles.
Well, and you're right. It was weird the way they were saying it, because my assumption would have been the vamp.
Right.
The way that they were talking didn't feel like they were referencing something we're aware of.
Right.
Because I think
I'm all for hints, and giving us teases for the future, but it was almost laying it on a little too thick, where I'm like, what are you gonna come out with? What another version of this mold, just painted in a different color, and then go, we told you.
When we finally get that Dreadnought stinger.
Yes.
Oh yeah. What if
they did that?
Kristian, what if you're right and the whole Dreadnought ground and air assault is the HasLab.
Oh.
But they
Take my
wouldn't
money. I think everybody would be into that.
They wouldn't need to do a HasLab for that though, because aside from because we've already got the Ram, we've got the Stinger.
But we need to get a Skyhawk and a Fang, though.
When is Sky? Oh, that's right. We don't have a Fang yet either. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Skyhawk and Fang, but they wouldn't need to be HasLabs. There's no reason to do that way.
But if they had color changing plastic, that costs a lot more.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I can talk about this. Do you guys remember something I told you about a couple of years ago?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that's
And
what they're referencing.
unfortunately, Carol Channing is still dead, and this is a G.I. Joe podcast.
Good cover. Let's move on. All right. So yeah, Stinger. I look. Obviously, I'm getting it. I think my son wants one as well. I love that they really go into the detail on these live streams, and they said there's going to be an unboxing live stream later in the month for the Stinger. But just the painted interior of the doors. I love the vents rather than just the open windows, the tinted windscreen, just all the little details that make it just different enough from the Vamp. Because remember, I was saying I don't know if I even really want a Stinger next because it's so similar, and I don't necessarily love Joe and Cobra having vehicles that look that similar. And look, obviously they do still look pretty similar, but they've done everything they can to differentiate this from the Vamp.
Now, we don't have a price point.
We do not.
Do we think it's still going to be $100, or is this going to go up a little bit because you got the remolded rockets? You do have the windscreen, and you have the additional parts.
Well, you've got all the blast effects,
All the
you've
blast
got the new
effects.
weapons mount, and then you've got the top and the doors. I don't know.
Because I mean, like, on one hand, we're using a mold, which is going to save
Right.
them some money. On the second hand, though, you are throwing in a bunch of extra parts.
On the other hand, it is Hasbro.
That's true. 'Cause even the figure is a straight, repaint.
Well, but who can predict what Hasbro will do? Because just the other day they dropped 4 O-ring figures for the same price as 2 O-ring G.I. Joes. So there's no telling. Hasbro's a wild card.
Madness.
We didn't really talk about the driver all that much. I think the driver looks great. I'm very happy with it. I could have used a little bit of red maybe on the web gear, on the shoulders.
Yeah.
But it looks good. I'm happy with it. And I'm really glad they used the oh wait, now that I'm looking at it, what did they do here? Has it got the officer boots with the infantry arm guards? I don't think I got a picture of just the figure. I don't know if they I don't know if we got a decent close up of the figure.
Yeah, and is it the balaclava head, or is it the?
No, it's the first trooper head, the Cobra Island one, I believe, with a little technical.
Which makes sense for a driver, I think.
Well,
I
and
would
it
love
makes
to
sense.
see this wind up in the retro card line eventually, too.
Will R says it's a thank you from Hasbro, still $99. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
Jeff Butler, I've been back and forth on the Stinger. I have no display space for classified vehicles, but this looks unsurprisingly fantastic. See, that's where I'm at. Is like, I don't necessarily want to give the Stinger space, but it's awesome and I have to have it.
I'm actually thinking of having this haul my missile system rather than the HISS tank too.
Oh yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, last thing, a little name reveal, and that is Footloose.
Am I the only one that had to rewind it?
No,
like
I could
8
not
times
tell.
to understand what he said.
Because they were, and look, we never do this here on the show. They were kind of talking over each other a little bit. So
right, like
yeah,
I the playful banter was great, and they were laughing, and then it was like he said it, and they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Wait, did they really say it? Am I still waiting?" And then it was like, I'm not kidding when I say I backtracked that thing like 8 times, because even when I finally got to where he was saying the name, I'm like, But
Yeah,
what?
it took me a while to
Oh,
figure that one out.
Footloose. Okay.
But very happy to see Footloose. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, does this leave Airtight as the only 85 figure that has not been mentioned in any way?
Hang
Somebody
on.
pull up
'Cause I've got them right here.
Yojo or 3D
Yeah.
Joes and see where we are with that.
Actually, yes, as far as the basic release figures.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Poor Airtight. Yeah, we of course, we don't have a keel haul yet, but that that's when we get our inevitable flag.
Well, as far as just the mainline stuff, like
Yes,
just
it is
regular,
mainline.
regular
Yes,
releases.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Airtight, the last holdout, which
you
is
get-
surprising.
Because
gotta
in
think he's
80,
close.
We even have
we
a
also don't have
Starduster.
our Listen and Fun Tripwire
Ah,
yet either.
madness.
We even have a Starduster name reveal already.
Yeah, that's
So-
right. Weird.
It's just the 6 vehicle drivers are the only ones that have not yet made their way.
Okay.
Wow. That's kind of crazy to think of. I mean,
Weird. Yeah.
so many iconic figures, obviously, in 85. But when you think about how many there, well, maybe not for 82. We're getting there.
we're 82. We're lacking.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's because let's face
Well, we're
it,
lacking in
Short Fuse is not a
82.
very exciting character.
We're lacking in 82 deco because we've got Clutch, we've got our Cobra Trooper and Officer, we've got Scarlet, we've got Rock and Roll, we've got Grunt.
Right, but we're missing Short Fuse, Zap,
Short Fuse, Zap,
Yeah.
Flash, Grand Slam.
Flash.
Yeah, Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Steeler. So what if
and then the V1 Hawk?
What if Hasbro doesn't play around? San Diego Comic-Con, they drop a really souped up Mobat that's like a much more functional tank than the original Mobat. In the package, in the initial offering, the MMS and all of those missing 1982 Joes, boom.
That's $500.
No tier. Yeah, it is. But
easily.
But no stretches, no nothing. This is it. Buy it now. Not buy it now, but you know what I mean. Like, you're all in from the start. You know what you're getting. This is it. I think it would be
This is
massive.
Audible Interlude. We would never suggest something like that. We would suggest a class of in scale with classified Stars and Stripes Forever set to get the rest of the 82
Oh no.
figures.
You're gonna get
And
us shut down.
With a animatronic flag that will raise up while the G.I. Joe theme is playing.
So will our fanboys would scream from the rooftops that main characters locked behind a HasLab. Like, but I feel that all of that is so essential that it would just be, oh, well, this is how I'm buying these. It wouldn't be looked at as locked behind a HasLab. It would be looked at as, oh, well, all of this is stuff that, like, if you want those characters, you have to have all that stuff. Toy Connection.
Looking at 84.
Toy Connection says Mauler HasLab make one of the stretch goals the damn mic for 3 3/4 inch heavy metal.
Yeah. Looking at the 84 regular carded figure assortment, the only figure that has not yet been mentioned or released on that one is Blowtorch. So I just think Lenny hates the color yellow.
I want to see Tony pull out like a banana or something during a live stream, and Lenny just goes, all right. Moving along. BMAC closing the stream said that the G.I. Joe Instagram was going to be more active. I think they're very aware that not much happens over there. And they also did, so during this stream, they promoted the Skybound collection. They talked about Wrath of Cobra, and they also promoted creating G.I. Joe. which I don't believe they've mentioned before, and they went so far as to say they've actually used that book as references for a lot of their work. And my initial thought was, oh, since Hasbro is actually talking about creating G.I. Joe, maybe we could get some more consumer-friendly priced versions, because I think those books are incredible and unique. They're great, but they are very expensive, in my opinion. I've said in my opinion like 20 times during this live stream because I feel like I've gotten into some sensitive areas. But those are expensive books. They just are. It's a fact. I would love for them to get some corporate support and maybe see some re-release at a little different price level, because I'd love to own them all, but whew. Have you guys got any of them?
No, I was
No.
tempted, and I think, was it Amazon possibly? Somebody had like a preview, some preview pages.
Oh yeah,
up,
yeah.
And I was like, if I remember correctly, it was more of the, okay, this is cool, but I don't exactly know which figures are covered until I buy the book. What if
Yeah.
I get one that's full of characters I don't care about?
Well, and that's kind of what happened with me, because Big Bad had some of them on clearance, and I ordered one just to see what it was. And it's got everything in it is interesting. Everything in it is awesome. Even the characters that I am not as invested in or whatever, it's all phenomenal material. And I was actually going to go back and buy the other ones they had on clearance, but they were sold out by the time, Big Bad, not overnight shipping.
Well, and Toy Connections says, in my opinion, volume 13 to 15 are the most worth it for the unproduced toy info. So that I would be on board with.
Jeff Butler says, with Dan's book line now finishing its run, you may be right, Dave. There might be a pivot to official Hasbro releases of some books coming. And see, I would love that. That's exactly what I want. Or I want somebody I want Skybound, to pick them up and do what Dark Horse did with the Masters of the Universe stuff. Like because I want all of that material, 100%. All right, so I think that's, they said the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive has got power, whatever that means. So we already saw this stuff go up for pre-order. Tomorrow, Tuesday the 11th, the retro cardback stuff goes up. And then June the 18th, the Mad Marauders and the Stinger go up. The retro cardbacks are mainline. They'll be available everywhere, just like the last wave of retro cardbacks. Spirit and Lowlight are Pulse exclusive. 1 p.m. early sales for premium members. I don't feel like these are probably going to sell out. Slaughter is a Famazon exclusive, which means Amazon, Big Bad, Pulse, wherever. And then the Stinger is also a Famazon exclusive, available on Amazon, Big Bad, Entertainment Earth, Pulse, as BMAC had to adjust to saying, wherever you find your fine toys, which is not at all what they were trying to get him to say. I can't remember what it was. So there you go. Now I want to have a little conversation really quickly about, oh, wait a minute.
Lenny hates it.
Oh, yeah.
That's why he hasn't come on here.
Although somebody had a good point. Will R had a good point. Hates yellow. Python Patrol Crimson Guard says, hold my beer. That is a fair point. No, I want to have a little conversation about weapons reuse, because we're seeing a lot of it. And my issue with it is not that they're reusing weapons. It's that they're reusing very unique and specific looking weapons. So it's noticeable on things like what they've packed in with the Iron Grenadier. I don't mind Stalker coming with the same weapons. That's fine. It's still Stalker. But when Big Ben and the Iron Grenadier have the same weapons, or when Alpine and the Alley Viper have the same weapons. Like, I don't care about weapons. I don't care what they're called. I don't care if they're real or not. I don't even care if they're based off of Nerf guns, as long as they look cool. But even I notice when good guys and bad guys have these same weapons. And if you're going to do that, I would very much prefer, if you're going to reuse stuff, just have all the good guys come with an M16 or the Joe laser rifle. Have all the bad guys come with an AK or a Dragunov.
Yeah.
I don't stop reusing these unique looking weapons and literally just make it general issue across the board. I would prefer that 100%. How do you guys feel about that?
Surprisingly, until tonight, I mean, yeah, they've reused them. I can't say that I've ever given it any thought. It hasn't fazed me at all.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me too much. I will usually pose the figure with the weapon I think looks best in their hand, and because so many of them now come with, multiple weapons, it's usually not that hard to do.
Oh, yeah, but even so, we're getting to a point where you can't give them a unique weapon.
Yeah. And not everybody's has to be unique, but yeah, I mean, I get it. But it doesn't bother me as much.
And most of my weapons went in the footlockers that came with them. So, like, honestly, now whenever I go to take photos, unless it's a very, very iconic, like Scarlet's crossbow, I know that goes with Scarlet. But I couldn't tell you necessarily which gun goes with Falcon.
Well, and I'm
just going to throw anything in there.
And I don't expect them to include unique weapons with every single character. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're going to reuse, just make it general. And just use, like I said, those two for the Joes, the M16 and the laser rifle for the Joes, and the Dragunov or the AK for the villains.
Yeah, no, I do think that's a good idea. Just it's because that's more military.
Well,
like, it makes sense.
Having those being an alternate weapon in just about every one of these packages wouldn't cost them that much. What, a few pennies here and there for the molding on those,
Oh, Wreckship brings up a good point. And I didn't think about this. For the same reason that they can't just turn around and reissue figures, they wouldn't be able to just use the laser rifle, the MC, though they wouldn't be able to do what I'm saying because the tooling has to be available. And there's a rotation for all the tooling. So the reason that the Iron Grenadier comes with that double-barreled whatever it is isn't so much because they were like, that's a good gun for the Iron Grenadier. It's because that's what was available to include with him at the time of production.
And now I just have this image of the factory having this giant claw machine full of tools where they're like, what weapon are we getting now?
You get a generic weapon, and you get a generic weapon.
Ooh, the claw. All right. So yeah, I like my idea, but I realize now how impractical it is. So let's move on to our next segment, one of the most popular segments on the show, because it comes from the Audible Army. It is time for Sound Off. If you're a member of audiblearmy.com, remember it's only $1.99 a month. You get first crack at the Sound Off, where you tell us what you want us to talk about, and we talk about it. And every time we're going to do a live stream, that morning you can go to Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram, find the Sound Off post, and we will reply to those as well. But audiblearmy.com does get priority. So if we're in a time crunch, we may not make it through all the Instagram sound offs. So let's see what we've got tonight. First off, from Kevin Riddle at audiblearmy.com, with the Mos Eisley Cantina HasLab right at 50% funded with 27 days left to fully fund, should this give us hope for a classified playset in the future? I would like to hear your thoughts on a playset of your choice and what it would include. First of all, my choice would be not to have a classified playset ever. Now, we've talked in the past about smaller things like Checkpoint Alpha or the Watchtower or the Bivouac or whatever. Those would be neat, but they wouldn't be HasLabs. What do you guys think? Are you up for a HasLab playset?
The Mos Eisley Cantina is scaled for vintage collection figures, not classified. I'm actually surprised it's doing as well as it is. I'll be curious to see if it maintains this going forward, because the whole basic edition and deluxe edition, it is a choice.
But they each count. It's not a either or, like they both count towards one total.
Right, yeah, but like if you want to get the whole thing, you have to buy the deluxe. If you want all the walls and the tables and chairs, you have to buy the deluxe. If you buy the regular edition, you get the bar piece. And I think the wall.
Now, what it is it's basically, if you're going to put it on a shelf, you get the regular edition because that's a side cutaway view.
Right.
But if you've got a whole table that you're going to use for this thing, then you get the other side that's a mirror of that one, and you have this, I don't even know how big it is, gargantuan thing. I
am a playset guy, and from day one from this podcast, like I always talk about, I would love playsets. I don't want a $500 playset. I don't want a $400 playset, unfortunately. Now, if for 3 3/4 they could figure out how to do like a $250 or $275 new version of like the tactical platform, I would be all about it. But I'm not going to spend $400 on a tactical platform. If I'm going to spend that kind of money, I'm going to get an original Terradrome.
Right.
I mean, I don't think that there are, if we're talking classified scale, there's nothing that I could really see that really hits that right price point and right size for a play set. Unless you're throwing several different existing things together, or you're expanding, you can do the Checkpoint Alpha with some other buildings and do like a Fort Wadsworth or something like that. But you're still getting into, I think, way too much. I've always said, and again, going back to like vintage collection, if you're doing it for 3 3/4 inch figures, which Hasbro has obviously abandoned at this point in time, I said a while back, I would love for them to do a Boulder Hill, and incorporate that mask element back into G.I. Joe at that scale. But I don't think they're ever going to do that now.
No, they're not. Will R says, Eternia playset enters the chat. They paid what, $600 for that? Yes, we did. And it's why I don't have any space for a giant classified playset. But worth it. Worth every penny.
And for that one, I'll give you, like, if you're going to spend the money to get a vintage Eternia playset, well, the plastic used for the monorail was so brittle that, okay, I'm going to spend extra money to get a newer version.
You're going to spend less money. You can't get an Eternia playset for $600.
Well, I'm not saying complete. I'm saying because it is so hard to get it. Like you can piecemeal Eternia playsets together if you don't care about the monorail.
All right, Will R is challenging me here, so I'm going to step up to it. Will R, as much as I love G.I. Joe and as big a fan as I am, and have been for many, many years now, and I'm the host of everyone's favorite G.I. Joe podcast, there is no G.I. Joe playset that compares for overall toyeticness to that Eternia playset. Especially not at that scale. That's right, I'm throwing down. I'm going to cheat like I did a few weeks ago and say the Whale would be my playset of choice. Because it's one of those vehicles that essentially doubles as a playset. So if we get a classified Whale, call that a playset and I'll be good.
It's way too big to be a classified vehicle. I just cannot imagine how much real estate that thing takes up. Like that's a $300 easily O-ring
Classified.
yeah. O-ring,
well, no, O-ring. Yeah, O-ring.
Yeah, O-ring HasLab. Like that's still $300 at that scale.
Now, Robert,
I've got to return to Will R. I don't want to turn this into the Dave versus Will R show, but that's what we're doing. There is no way I'm paying $600 for a stack of rooms. Oh, look, it's Hawk's office. Cool. There's no monorail in the pit. Get out of here.
I'm sorry. I know we're a G.I. Joe podcast, but darn it, Will, now we got to figure out how to make Six Flags over Eternia shirts.
Well, I mean, look, he's not wrong.
Is
like Six Flags over Eternia. Six Flags over Eternia is not castigation. It's a compliment.
But for Robert's comment, yes, the Cold Slither figures and stage, agreed. I would buy that. But when I think of that to me, even though it's slightly bigger, still fits in with a smaller playset idea. Hasbro has molds for lots of concert stages. It would not be breaking the bank for them to be able to put that out at $100 or less. And sorry, it really should be less.
Well, and also Cold Slither comes up all the time, and I wouldn't mind nods to Cold Slither in classified, but Cold Slither to me is a Super 7 thing.
I mean, we got a nod to him in
what's his face? Metalhead
right there.
Right. Yeah. And that's about it. That or a t-shirt is about as far as I want it to go. I don't really want the Dreadnoks in their goofy 80s like Cold Slither gear in classified. No. I want it as Super 7 Ultimates or as Super 7 O-rings. I'm down, but I don't really want that in classified. Oh my gosh. We can use the failed WCW entrance stage. Oh, man. And you know what? I didn't even back that thing because I felt like they didn't do a good enough job with anything about it. And I love Mattel and I love the guys that work on WWE, but that was, whew. All right, let's move on. We got to move on. We're running out of time here. Toy Reclaimer. I'm going to Joe Fest for the first time. Congratulations, Toy Reclaimer. That is awesome. Are most booths cash only? Anyone know? No, only a couple are cash only. Was it Toy Department?
Toy Department is cash only. You get to some smaller booths, you're going to find more that are cash only.
But most of them will let you pull your phone out and do PayPal, or can just straight up take cards. I recommend, bring a certain amount of cash, but save it for this was my mistake I made a few years ago, is I was using my cash up front because I just hadn't been to a toy show in so long and I was just used to using cash. And then I found out probably 90% of the people there were able to take cards or do the PayPal thing.
Yeah. And
even for the nighttime hallway stuff.
Yeah.
Even if you're doing hallway swap and stuff like that. Well, in the room-to-room swap, a lot of times you'll have people that'll do cards. But I will say this, if you're somebody who's looking to make deals, you want to bring cash. Mm-hmm. Because dealers are going to be more willing to part with more for less if you're giving them straight cash, and they don't have to worry about claiming that. And having to pay the credit card fees. It's much easier for you.
But it's
Go
also
back.
much easier to spend cash.
Go
Yes.
back
Because
and
when I
listen.
use cash, every single time there's a point in the day where I go, oh.
And don't think that, I can just go to the ATM in the hotel because it'll be empty by 5 o'clock Friday afternoon.
Yeah, get cash like at home before you hit the road.
Yeah, because
Don't
even around Augusta, you'll probably find
yeah.
a lot of they'll
Yeah,
restock
the
them probably
ATM that's right outside the convention center. It was taped off.
Yeah.
No money.
Yeah.
So
they
don't
run
count
out
on
fast.
being able
That's
to
pretty
get
much
cash.
anytime you go to a toy convention, you're gonna the ATMs are gonna be dry.
I'm planning to bring some stuff, classified modern, to sell as well, since I heard about the hotel sales, trying to plan accordingly, hoping to see you guys. You will absolutely see us there. You'll probably hear us before you see us, though. That's what we got last year, most of the times. Definitely bring stuff. Plan to set up the lobbies, or whatever they call it, the night sales, yard sales, whatever it is, sets up in the panel room on the second floor. Scope it out, plan to get there early, maybe bring a table if you've got a good portable table. Some people just sit on the floor, but yeah, if you've got stuff to bring your totes. You'll be able to move it.
Yeah, I considered, because I still have like my Hiss and my Cobra Commander, I'm wanting to move, and I don't want to sell them on eBay, and I've got some other stuff that I could probably part with, but I just
how many other people are going to have Hisses and Cobra Commanders?
Well, the other
at
thing
Joe
too
Fest?
is I don't want to haul that stuff to
Yeah.
Augusta. I really don't.
See,
I want this to be a fun weekend.
That was my problem too. As I said earlier, I've got a bunch of stuff I need to throw up on eBay. I would probably do much better bringing it to Joe Fest, but I don't have the space to bring 6 TIE fighters and all this other stuff to Joe Fest, and I just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
All right. Mandalorian Jedi, also from audiblearmy.com. In an effort to effectively battle the evil forces of Cobra on every front, you are called on to assemble a G.I. Joe sub-team focused on defeating Cold Slither in an epic battle of the bands.
This is, I didn't see this one until now. This is the one I actually had to think about too.
So I'll go first. My answer is, it is a one-person sub-team. It is Mainframe, who has taken up programming EDM. So it is going to be the Battle of the Beats versus the Battle of Rock and Roll. And we'll see how DJ Mainframe does.
You would think that like Sci-Fi, because he's already got his Daft Punk helmet on, would be in there as well.
I was not that creative. My band, I honestly didn't come up with a name for them. So obviously it's going to have rock and roll. It's going to have Shipwreck. It's going to have Polly. And there is a great scene from a great movie called Pootie Tang.
Oh, gosh.
So the lead singer of this band is Snake Eyes. and it will be the greatest sound you've ever heard.
Wow.
Well, I think we're going to have to go, since Cold Slither is definitely a little bit rock and roll. On the other half, we're going to have to go a little bit country. So we're going to have Yeehaw! Wild Bill is going to be up there. Cross country. You know, he's probably got a banjo he's picking somewhere. Maybe
this Wild Bill?
Look at that.
What are the odds?
There you are. Yeah, and a couple of other like very country Joes, I'm sure will fit in with the country version.
I think you get Gung Ho in there for a little Zydeco flavor.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know if that works with country music though.
He plays. I'm sure Gung Ho plays the dulcimer. All right. Moving on to Audible Interlude Podcast on Instagram. Our pals Podcast from the Pit. Everybody check out Podcast from the Pit. Great podcast. Definitely one of the like hanging out with the guys type sounds. Really enjoy. Other than hanging out with podcasts from the pit, what is the second thing you were looking forward to at Joe Fest? LOL, have a great show, guys. So, I mean, honestly, I haven't thought much beyond hanging out with the guys from Podcast to the Pit. So I'm going to have to give this one a second. What are you guys looking forward to?
I mean, they just announced Cold Slither Karaoke's happening, so that sounds like that's going to be fun.
Honestly, for me, it is going to be meeting everybody this year. I cannot stress it enough because I am terrible with names. I am terrible with faces.
Yeah,
So
same here.
if you please come up and introduce yourself. We had some of the most fun hanging out with everybody last year, and being able to put faces with names now. And yeah, let's have a beer and talk some Joe.
Yeah, that's actually what I put down too is meetups. We're going to have a couple of Audible Interlude meetups going on at different times, but just hanging out with everybody, getting to see everybody is going to be cool. And if Ritz Murphy is back this year, and Lord, I hope he will be, I cannot miss his karaoke. I missed it last year. I'm still mad at myself. Yeah.
I remember hanging out and talking with him when the karaoke first started. Maybe I was gone by the time he got up.
I think we wandered off or something, but he did. I think he did Montel Jordan.
I will also add another thing I'm looking forward to. I know you may have seen at some conventions recently where you'll have like the running of the Wilro Hoods or the running of the Matt the Radar Techs. Going back to our Star Wars lores, there will be a Chuckles Power Hour happening at some point during the convention. So,
really?
Yes, I've actually got a nice Chuckles style Hawaiian shirt on its way.
Man, I wasn't going to bring any costumes, but after doing that Chuckles last year at Dragon Con, I guess I got to bring my Chuckles.
Got to bring your Chuckles.
I didn't know. I'm glad I know about this now. All right. Moving on. Bassist Carlos. Oh, bassist Carlos, you hurt my heart here. Did y'all pick up Scarlet #1? Are y'all going to be following the Scarlet and Destro comics? Bassist Carlos, do you even listen to the show? Come on now. Last week's episode, we reviewed Scarlet #1 and also had a Tripwire Love Fest. And yes, we will be following the Scarlet and Destro comics. We could not be more excited about the Energon universe and everything that Skybound is doing. And once again, for anybody that maybe wasn't here earlier, I will be interviewing Alex Antone from Skybound this week. So stay tuned for that.
Real quickly, Mandalorian Jedi's comment, I'll prepare a 20-minute monologue to introduce myself with someday. So it's really me.
I can't wait.
I love that. And I will do interpretive dance while you're monologuing.
Give us a heads up so we can record it. Always be recording. Yorktown Joe, do you know any good contractors who can add on to our residence ahead of the incoming flood of new products? Good contractors is an oxymoron. Yorktown Joe, okay, more seriously, of the pre-orders slated to arrive, yeah, Noel can tell you something about that.
Oh yeah, last year and a half as I've been dealing with crappy contractors. Ooh.
More seriously, of the, you know what, it was warranted. We'll give you a pass on that one. If we can let Dan Larson curse once per episode, then we can let Noel curse once per episode. Okay, more seriously, of the pre-orders slated to arrive in July, what are you most excited for? So what I think is set for July now is Torch, Jinx, Doc, Night Creeper, Naugahyde. The Ferret was July, but now Hasbro Pulse is showing June 18th.
Ooh.
So the Ferret is no longer a July release. So out of Torch, Jinx, Doc, Night Creeper, Naugahyde, who are you most pumped for?
Torch.
I mean, yeah, it's probably Torch just to complete my Dreadnought collection.
Doc, Doc is for me, and he's been kind of a roller coaster ride because he's one of my favorite Joes. He's critical to those early Sunbow episodes. He's like the main Joe, really. So I was super excited when they announced him. And then I saw that he has that vest that I don't like that's on the Action Soldier. But then Gridiron put up a picture of a medic loadout, and it had the Doc figure vestless. And he has painted detail. Now, I don't know if they did that. I don't know if he comes that way. But it gave me hope for Doc. So I'm excited for Doc again. Will R says, Doc, look at that. Will R and I on the same page again. It feels so good. Reunited, and it feels so good. Oh no, Wreckship 85 had to cancel the ferret because of the ship date move. Bummer. All right. Silent Interlude. I try to set and stick with some sort of budget for the shows I go to. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah, tell us about it. Once I even came in under budget, but that may have been an anomaly. What is your budget for Joe Fest? Does that take away from new purchases or other vintage purchases for you? I've been trying to curb eBay spending so that I can have the budget for in-person purchases. This is essentially my MO. I'm not going to share my budget for Joe Fest, but I will say that yes, there is a Joe Fest budget. Yes, I plan it starting in January. And honestly, I have that mindset from January to June of I'm going to be around Joe stuff in person in June. So unless I come across something online that's just an offer too good to pass up, I really try not to get online and buy any stuff that I think I may find at Joe Fest. And then after Joe Fest, I say, well, Joe Lanta's right around the corner, so I can't buy anything online until Joe Lanta. I really do try to think that way. Is I would rather try and get stuff in person because it's going to be cheaper. You're going to be able to get eyes on it. You're going to be able to just have it and not worry about it being shipped. Although I'll be trying to pack it and ship around, get it back home. I had to last year when I bought that mobile command center, I had to stop at Walmart and buy a tote and a thing of bubble wrap just to get the command center home.
Yeah. I bought that bug last year, and pretty much the first thing I did was I went out and I put it in my car. I was like, I don't want this thing just like rattling around the room while a bunch of things are happening. So yeah.
So how does Joe Fest affect you guys online purchasing? Like, is it a consideration in that way?
Well, I mentioned that we came across a figure in a recent episode of America's Elite. And I was like, I need to have that. I'm going to wait and see if they have it at Joe Fest. And if they don't, maybe I'll go buy it afterwards. So yeah, it does, for things like that, I might think I can hold off a few weeks on this piece.
Yeah. Although I do like to kill a little bit of time on eBay. So I still go on there and I still type in Joe. And if an incredible deal pops up for something that I want, I'm going to go ahead and get it versus waiting for Joe Fest. But there are certain things that I'm not looking up because I know I want to wait until Joe Fest.
Well, and you bring up a good point. While it is hey, Road Pig John is in the chat. What's up, Road Pig John? Yo, Joe. You bring up a good point though, Kristian, because while you do want to avoid buying stuff, you do need to get on eBay so you know what prices look like. You need to be if you've got your list of stuff you're looking for at Joe Fest, you do need to be looking at sold listings so you have an idea of what is a good price for stuff.
That's fair. I do want to tell the listeners out there that at least for me, the prices at Joe Fest were far and above better than eBay.
Oh yeah,
but that was for the stuff that I was looking for.
I mean,
You
it's the case for almost everything. I mean, I would say, in general, Joe Fest prices are 2/3 to 3/4 what eBay prices are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's significant a difference. But like I said, you need to be looking at the sold listings of stuff that you want so you have an idea of what's a good price and what isn't. Because you may see what this happened to me at Toylanta, or no, it was Joe Lanta. Last year at Joe Lanta, that Crimson Strike Force set that I got, or the whatever it is, the Crimson Hiss with the Crimson Asp, the Valor versus Venom one. Well, one dealer had it for like $175, and then I got it for, I think it was 95 or so. It was a massive difference, or maybe it was 300 and I paid 125. I don't know, but there was a $100 plus difference just between two dealers. So that's another thing to think about at Joe Fest is if you see something and you're like, oh, that price is pretty good. I mean, if you want it, get it, because it could be gone by the time you make it back around. But if you're kind of on the fence about it, keep looking because somebody may have it cheaper.
Yeah, I think like budget, absolutely important. You want a budget. I think even more than that is that you want to know what it is you're looking for when you go in there.
Have a plan with some
Because
flexibility. You know what? We gotta cut this. We've got a Joe.
Sorry, this is all for.
We've got a Joe Fest episode next week. We've got to save some of this. Hey, and look at that! It brings us to the end of Sound Off, which I will remind everybody: Patreon, $1.99 a month. AudibleArmy.com. Go check it out. Tons of bonus content. And that brings us to the final segment of the show. Gentlemen, what do you have? Where'd it go? There it is. For Joe and Tell, sponsored by Slickalicious. Everybody check out Shop Slickalicious on Instagram and gijive.com. Joe and Tell is the segment where we visually share something G.I. Joe related. Who wants to go first?
I can go first.
All right.
We've had a lot of discussion about vamps lately. And so, we were looking through what some of our favorite vamps were on a recent episode of Instruments of Destruction. And, I've been looking at the various internationals versions of that mold. So I went on eBay and I had to pick me up one right here. There's actually a seller that has these for like $15.
Whoa, really?
Shipped from India. So I mean these are relatively inexpensive.
So are they still in production, or were there just that many of them made?
Yeah, these I believe are still in production over there.
How does the plastic feel?
So it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
Look at that beauty.
Yeah, it's very nice. I mean, the stickers are not great. They're just little paper stickers.
Yeah.
But,
that's fine. They come off.
Yeah, and you can easily replace them. But this is the Fun School MRF Racing Jeep. At the same time I ordered this one, and it's got the can.
Yeah.
It comes just like this. Came just in this box. Nothing else. The cans were separate, but that was the only other thing that was in this box. Oh, and the steering wheel. You had to put the steering wheel in it on its own.
Okay.
But yeah, I was like, for $15, I could not pass this thing up. It took a couple weeks. I ordered another one. It's been sitting in a warehouse in Georgia, or like in a postal warehouse in Georgia for like the last 4 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Because you know how these international things happen sometimes.
Yeah.
But the other one I got was the police one.
That's the one I want.
Yeah. And then I skipped out on the Army Jeep just because it's just too similar to a regular vamp. I might pick it up. If I see one at Joe Fest, I'll probably pick one up. Who knows? Just to try to get my little trio going. But I was hoping to have that other one before I did the Joe and Tell a couple weeks ago, and I did not. So
no, we have to track down the 3 3/4 Mego Daisy Duke figure to put in that Jeep because that,
yeah.
That's
but I mean,
cool.
like, it's great. I love this little box. It's a nice little sturdy box. And yeah, the plastic is a lot better than I expected it to be.
The box makes it look like a model kit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's funny.
When is this? This was this was manufactured January 2nd, 2022.
Wow.
So yeah, these are still in production over there.
I'll have to. I want that police one. I'm gonna have to hunt that down. All right, Kristian, you got a Joe and tell?
I do. Talking about eBay
yes.
and great deals. I've been watching Overkill for probably since we started this podcast, and I got this for a really, really, really good price, like cheaper than what loose ones
Yeah,
were
yeah.
going for. It was just dumb luck. Like sometimes with eBay, you jump on there, you see something, and you're like, "Yep, I have to snag it now." Much like Joe Vest, but you probably can't hear it.
No, but if you hold it up to your mic, we probably can.
Oh, that's true. I was sitting here thinking, "Oh yeah, my mic and my camera." Nope.
No.
Barely.
No.
I heard a little whisper that kind of creeped me out, actually.
Well, honestly, I mean, this was one of the figures that my younger brother had that I really, really liked. I did not remember his voice sounding so much like a Dalek. Like there's,
Oh,
it's
wow.
like there's
Terminate.
2 electronic voices recorded in there, or it's the fact that everything is covered by plastic. Like even though it's a Try-Me, it's actually sealed and it's just reverberating in there. But love the packaging.
Yeah.
I love that Wipeout is a saying that bats would have. But the greatest thing about this was is reading his bio card and learning that his main purpose is to drive the earthquake. So now
That's new information for me.
I got to get an earthquake. Like it is one of those vehicles that I have eyed because it's just
I can't even picture it.
it's
Hang on.
it's the tractor. It's
Oh gosh,
the
are you
front
serious?
cover.
It's that thing?
Yeah, it's that thing. That's what he drives.
I'm surprised you don't already own that, to be honest.
Well, but you know what? That needs to be a Joe Fest because it is so
Yeah.
obnoxiously large that the shipping on it is always kind of
Right.
prohibitive. But also, fans of the podcast don't get used to this packaging because you know I'm going to open it.
Yeah. Speaking
Yeah.
of which, during Yojo June, I have been opening up some mint on card Joes I bought at Toylanta. So check that out at audiblearmy.com. Jeff Butler. Oh man, Kristian, I'll be selling my childhood earthquake at DFW. Wish I could sell to you. Oh, Dallas Fort Worth. I'll be honest, I'd rather be there than Augusta. But I love Joe Fest. But I love Dallas Fort Worth area. All right. Well, I guess it is my turn now, and I have got something very exciting, very appropriate that I did not expect. Came in a little early, and I don't know if this has happened for anybody else, but I might have a little advanced Robo Skull here. I thought we had a ways to go, but you guys, I'm going to give you a look right here. Check it out. It's a little smaller than I thought it was going to be, and the colors are a little bit different. But
It is a skull.
I mean, it's a pretty awesome
Robotic.
vehicle. I don't really see how it's going to work with the 3 3/4 inch figures, but I mean, I'm pretty happy. I can't see the price value in it.
It's obviously a factory leak because it's blue, not red.
Yeah.
But it's got these cool little,
and it's like the Superman vehicle.
And then there's little skull faces on the fireballs. So
Taking
yeah,
that Skeletron very seriously.
like I said,
Yeah.
not totally what I expected, but a pretty cool little vehicle. Will are. Why am I not surprised? So yeah, for anybody listening and not actually watching, this is my little joke. This is actually the collector from Masters of the Universe Origins, which is an awesome vehicle, but it is no Robo Skull.
It is a
Which, by
Smurf
the way,
skull,
I did.
apparently.
Smurf skull, nice voltage.
Yeah, it's yeah, $600. No, I did back the Robo Skull though, and as soon as I've got that thing, I'll be reviewing it on the Needless Things YouTube channel and sharing it here on Audible Interlude.
So if
yeah,
that was a ride at Six Flags, what would that have been called?
I think that would be. It would probably just be like the Skelotron or something.
Yeah,
but
they're
it
not
would-
super inventive with the names.
It would have been a gimbal ride that you get in that, and it just shakes the heck out of you and makes you nauseous. But it would be that big thing, and you'd go sit in it, and it would just be like with something. It would be like Star Tours, but like way more janky.
Right.
Whew. Well, everybody, I think that's enough episode for 1 week. We covered plenty of stuff. Remember, next week, we will be having a Joe Fest pre-show special. Even if you're not going to Joe Fest, we're going to be talking about a lot of fun stuff, so be sure and tune in. Our music is by Andy Semford of electricminnowmusic.com. Follow us on Instagram at Audible Interlude Podcast. Check out those pinned stories for our t-shirts and more. Follow us on X at G.I. Joe Audible. And, of course, check out audiblearmy.com. Tons of bonus stuff there. Lots of exclusive video. It's a good time. It's in $1.99. Come on. It's a great deal. Noel, why don't you tell us a little bit about the finest that people will be able to see at Joe Fest?
Yes, the Finest is an international G.I. Joe costuming club that raises money for a great organization called Canines for Warriors. There will be a booth at Joe Fest, so drop by and pick up some cool swag, donate some money, and talk some Joes.
And Kristian, where can we find that toy photography that you do so well?
You can find me on Instagram now under the name Codename Legion Cub.
Ooh,
We're going through a little rebranding on the page.
Nice. I like it.
Going to try to be a little more just Joe specific. I haven't decided if I'm going to create a second page for my other stuff,
Well,
but
you should just do it. I've got 3. Well, I've got 4. Technically, I've got 4 pages. It's ridiculous, but whatever. Everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging out with us. We really appreciate you being here. We appreciate your support. Tell your friends about Audible Interlude. Come say hi to us at Joe Fest. Noel and Kristian, this is the most fun I have every single week. Until next time, yo, Joe.
Cobra Wipeout.